Alright guys, welcome back to the course. So in the last videos we were able to create, among others, the two models for our profiles application. The first one was the profile and the second one was the relationship. So we are not done yet, we are just getting started over here. However, now it's time to work a little bit on the two other parts of Django MVT architecture, the views and the templates. So let's start by creating our home page. Let's go to the main project folder, BFF book, and over here we are going to create another file called views.py. Let's open it up, and over here we are going to define our first view. Let's write down home view, which takes in a request. Okay, and then we need to return something, and this is going to be our first view, so we are just going to return a HTTP response. So we can write down, first of course we need to import it, so from Django HTTP import HTTP response. Okay, now we can bring this in over here, and let's just put in hello world. Okay, so we can actually save this. Let's head over to the urls.py file. Over here we need to define a new path. The only one that we have so far is for the admin, so let's create the main path, and this is going to be the path with our home view. So we need to import this view from .views import home view. Okay, let's bring this in, and also let's add a name, maybe home view. Okay, so now we can save it and test this out. Let's go back to the browser. Let's delete everything from here, press enter, and there it is. Here's our hello world. Alright, so let's go back to views.py, and this time let's return something in a template. So we can do it by importing render, and we can do this by typing from Django shortcuts import render. Okay, and I'm just going to comment this out over here, and we are going to return render, and then the first parameter will be the request. The second one is going to be the template which we need to create. We will name it home HTML, and this is something that we will do in just a few seconds. And the third one will be the dictionary with the keys and values that we are going to define and pass to our template. So over here we can simply create a variable user, and this is going to be request.user. Okay, and this is going to be dynamic depending on what user is logged in. And let's create a static variable, and let's call it hello, and this is just going to be hello world. So what we can do over here is to pass this to the template. In the template we will be using the name of the key. So if we have a dictionary, we can define it as context. First we define the key, and the key can be, for example, user t, okay, and we can assign it to the user. And in the template we will have to use this user t name, but let's keep it simple. I'm just going to name it the same way, user. And then the second thing that we are passing is this hello. So again, I'm just going to put in hello as the key and assign as the value this variable over here, hello. Okay, so we can actually save this, and now we need to create home HTML. So let's go down to the templates, and over here I'm going to create a new folder called main, and inside main I'm going to create home HTML and then navbar. navbar HTML. Okay. Outside of main, so inside of templates, on the same level as the main folder, I'm going to create another one called base HTML. And this is going to be a template that other templates will inherit from. So we can go to the browser. Let's go to pyplane.com. This is my blog. And let's find an article called social network project. Okay, so we can actually press read article, and over here we have some boilerplate code that we are going to use. So first of all, I'm going to grab the base HTML part, and we are going to put it over here inside the base HTML. We can save it, and when we are going to inherit from this base HTML, we won't be rewriting this code over again. We are just going to focus on the blocks. So we have a block title, block content, and a block script. So for example, for the home page, we are going to put in home. For the contact, we will put in contact or contact us. Okay. For about, we are going to put in about, and so on. And the same is for the block content. We are going to put in some maybe unique content in this block content block, and for the block scripts, here is the part for the JavaScript. Alright, so we can actually inherit right now at home HTML from this base HTML, but first let's head over to the views, and over here we have two things to fix. We need to provide the full path, so it's actually main home HTML and not home HTML, and the dictionary that we are passing is empty. So what we could do is to grab those keys and values and put them over like here in this way. This would work, or we can simply just delete this and use this context variable. Okay, so this should be working. Let's go now to home HTML, and in order to inherit from base HTML, we need to write down extends base HTML, and now we need to define those unique blocks. So the first one was block title, so let's put in over here home. The second one was block and content, and over here we are going to put in first let's put in hello. So we need to use those double brackets in order to display the variables coming from the views PY, and let's add a break line, and also let's display the user. Okay, and then we have block scripts, and let's leave this empty for now. Let's save this, let's go to the browser, and as you can see we have our hello world and the username. Okay, so this is working. Let's also check the JavaScript part, so I'm going to put in script, and inside of those script tags we can define some JavaScript. We will be using jQuery, so I can write down document ready, and then whenever a document is loaded we are going to execute some function, and this will be just a console log, and we can put in working. Okay, so in order to check this, what we need to do is first of all save this, and then we need to go back to the home page. Let's press inspect, let's go to the console, and let's refresh the page, and as you can see we have working, so everything is all right. The next thing is to add the navbar. So in case of the navbar, we don't want to inherit from base HTML. We want the navbar to be a part of all of our sites. So we are going to actually include it in the base HTML, but first we need to define it. So again, let's go to Pyplane.com. We already copied base HTML. Let's also grab the navbar HTML. Okay, whoops, a little bit too far. Let's copy this and let's bring it in over here. Let's save it, and now, as mentioned before, we need to include this to our base HTML. So we can do it very easily. Let's write include, and what we need to put in over here is the path to the navbar. So let's write main slash navbar HTML. So we can go ahead and save this, and let's go back, refresh, and there is our navbar. Okay, we will style it a little bit later. And the next thing that I'm going to do is to head over to static project, and over here what we are going to do is to create two files, main.js and then style CSS. Okay, so those two files need to be also included in our base HTML. So let's do this. Let's head over to base HTML, and first of all what we are going to do is to include the custom CSS. So we need to write down link rel equals to style sheet, and then let's add type is equal to text CSS, and now we need to provide the source. So let's write href, and we need to write down, I will use a snippet for this, static, and we can use static because we have this load tag at the top, and now we need to provide the path. So in our case this is just going to be style CSS. Okay, it's not inside of any folder, it's just inside the static project. So we can write down style CSS. Alright, so this is one thing, and the second thing, I'm just going to delete this add here, we already added it, and the same thing comes for custom JS. So I'm going to delete this add here, and we are going to write down script, and then what we need to do is define the type. So this will be text JavaScript, and now we need to provide the source. So again we are going to write down static and main.js. Okay, so again let's just don't forget to close off the script tag, and we can test this out. I'm going to head over to main.js, but first I'm going to head over to home HTML. I'm just going to borrow this code from over here, and I'm going to put it inside the main.js, and I'm going to put in working from the base. Let's save it. Let's refresh. Let's actually open this console again. So we need to press inspect console, and we have working. Okay, so this is coming from our home HTML, and working from the base, this is coming from the base HTML where we included our main.js. So it's coming from here. Okay, so now let's jump to style CSS, and over here we are going to do some CSS code. So first of all I'm going to change the background color, and this is going to be F8, 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 and I'm going to set it to important. Okay, so we are going to have a very light gray background color. The second part is going to define a custom class that we will apply. I'm just going to put in nav, and first of all I'm going to set the border radius to 0, and also I'm going to set it as important because right now as you can see we have some roundings in the corners and I want to eliminate them. So we can do it with border radius 0 pixels important, and I'm just going to add some padding, and let's just do it 10 pixels on the top, 0, 10 pixels on the bottoms, and then 0. So it's like a clock, 10 pixels up, then 0 on the right, 10 pixels down, and 0 on the left. And also let's maybe do this important, and let's add a background color. Over here I'm going to set a color of 396 and then AFC. So it's going to be a blue color, and also let's not forget to add important. Yeah, and finally, yeah, I think this is it. This is it for the nav. And let's just add another class called MB7 maybe. And this is going to be margin bottom 7 pixels important. Okay, so now what we need to do is bring those two classes inside of our navbar. So over here at the very top, I'm going to add nav and then MB7. I'm going to save it and then go back, refresh, and there it is. Okay, so here is our modified navbar. Alright guys, so I think we can finish off over here. In the next one, we are going to work on the profile page. Thank you for this one. Take care and bye-bye. Alright guys, welcome back to the course. In this video, we are going to start working on the My Profile page. And in order to begin, we need to find the Profiles application folder. Inside, let's create a templates directory. Inside the templates directory, we are going to create another folder that will match the application name. So in this case, we need to put down profiles. And inside of the profiles, we are going to write down name of our template, my profile HTML. Okay, so we can head over to the views, and inside of this particular file, we are going to define a new view called My Profile View. So this is going to be another function view. We will do also class-based views in this course, but we are starting with getting to know the function views. So over here we will write down request, and for now I'm just going to put in pass. And the first thing that I'm going to import is actually the model, so we can actually get the particular profile. And in our case, we want to get our profile. So we are not interested in the request user anymore. We are interested in the profile of this user. So in this case, let's write down from.models import profile. And now over here, we can write down obj is equal to profile objects get, and we want to get by the field of the user. So if we head over to the models, we have our profile, and here is the field user which we are using right now, and we want to set this to request.user. So we are getting the profile based on the user that is logged in. Okay, and then we can define a context dictionary. So we can write down over here obj, and we can pass this obj into the template. So what we need to, of course, return render, and the first parameter, as you probably remember, is the request. The second one is the template. So in our case, we need to provide the path for the profiles, and then my profile HTML. So profiles and then my profile HTML. And the reason why we are doing this structure over here is because at some point you may have a lot of applications with, for example, main HTML, and Django might get confused which main HTML to pick. So we always add profiles as the application name. So this is the folder over here, and then the name of the template. So you can have many main HTMLs as long as you include the name of the application in this path. Okay, and the third parameter is the context. Okay, so now what we need to do is to save this and create a urls.py file. So we are going to have a urls.py file for basically every application that we are going to create. If we wouldn't do it like this in separate urls.py file, we would have to bring everything to the main urls.py file inside of our BFF book. Imagine that we have a lot of applications. This file could get extremely messy if we would simply bring every single path inside. It would be really very difficult to manage. So instead, what we are going to do is to define the paths in the separate applications for those applications. Okay, so each application will have their own path, and then we are going to simply include those urls.py, for example, from the profiles application inside the main URL patterns inside the main project folder. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to borrow this piece of code, so the path import, and I'm going to head over to urls.py inside the profiles application folder, and over here we have our path imported. So the next thing that we need to import is the view. So from.views import, and what was the name? My profile view, something like this. Yes, and then we can provide the app name. So this is going to be profiles, and what else we need to do is to put in the URL patterns. So over here I'm just going to write down path, and I'm going to put an empty path because if we can just copy this for a second, I'm going to define my profile in the main urls py. Okay, so this is going to be or maybe I'm going to do it a different way. I'm going to write down profiles in the main urls.py file, and over here I'm going to define a path my profile. So the full path to this particular view will be profiles and then my profile. All right, so in order to access this particular view, this particular path, we will have to write this URL. So let's put the view inside my profile view, and then the name will be my profile view. Okay, I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to head over to the url.py file inside the BFF book project folder, and over here I'm going to define this main path, including the URLs from the profiles application folder. So over here I'm just going to write down profiles, and then we need to import include. And what we want to include? We want to include, we need to head over to the profiles and take this urls.py file. So we can write down include profiles and then URLs. And let's also provide a namespace that has to match the app name. So in our case, profiles. All right. Okay, so yeah. The final thing is to work a little bit on the template. So over here we need to inherit from base HTML. Then we need to set the title, so it will be block title, and we will put in my profile. And for now, in the block content, we are just going to write it down h1 my profile, and then let's close this h1. Okay, so we can actually save this, And we won't do block scripts in this view just yet. So yeah, we can actually test this out. So the path was profiles, and then my profile, like this. Template does not exist, base HTML. Okay, so extends base HTML, not HTML, but HTML. Let's try this out again. And there it is. Okay, so here is my profile. So now we need to think what we want to display in the profile. And this is something that we will do in the next video. Thank you for this one. Take care and bye-bye. Alright guys, welcome back. So in this video we are going to display some information coming from the models into the views and then finally in the template. So if we jump back to the models.py file, we can display, for example, the first name, last name, the user bio, and so on. But also what we would like to do is to display the friends, how many friends we have, and maybe we can focus on those two things right now. So I'm going to define another method inside this class, and I'm just going to call it getFriends. getFriends. And this takes, of course, self inside. And what we can return over here is self friends all. Okay? So we are grabbing all the friends from this many to many field. This is for getting the friends. And then if we would like to get the friends number, we can define another method called get friends no. This takes in self as well. And we can return basically the same thing, but we need to add at the end count. So now we are returning a number of friends, okay? And we are going to test this out. So in the views.py, we already defined obj, and now we can pass in the entire object into the template, and in the template we can write down, for example, let's add a horizontal line, and we can write down, for example, obj, and then for example, first name. Let's save this. And this is our first name, okay? So it's just a single letter. We can put in slug. And here is our slug, okay? So this is one way to do it. We can also do it a little bit differently. So over here, we can simply write down obj and then slug. And let's change this to slug. Let's save this and let's go back to my profile. And over here, we'll just put in slug. Let's save it. And as you can see, nothing changed. So this is another way how to do it. Okay, but we would like to maybe pass the entire object. So I'm just going to return to the previous version, and I'm just going to put in obj. And actually, I'm going to change this to profile. And I'm going to write down profile and then profile. Okay, so we are passing the entire object into the template. So right now what we can do is to actually simply display things. And we can display profile, first name, let's add a BR, and then let's just copy this, profile, last name, profile, bio, profile, country, profile, what else? Profile, yeah, let's just write down get friends no. And then if we want to see the friends, well, we can't do it like this. We need to loop through them. So if we would just put in get friends like this, we can save it, refresh, and as you can see, nothing actually happens. We even don't see the profile, first name, last name, and so on. So yeah, we need to actually save the views. And now let's return, refresh, and over here we have this query set. So this isn't working really nice. We need to loop through this query set, and we can do it very easily. So instead of writing profile get friends, we can write down a for loop. For friend in profile get friends, and let's add ul. Let's just make it a list, and then inside of here we can write down li and friend. So I'm just going to indent this so it's a little bit easier to read. I'm going to save it, refresh, and there it is. Okay, so we have one friend. Our first name is L, the second name, the last name is M. We have no bio. Here is an empty space for the country. Here is our friends count, and this is the friend that we have in our friends list. So let's go back to Visual Studio, and over here maybe, yeah, here we can add a profile. Okay, so we are going to display my profile, and over here we can add AMG SRC to display the avatar, and we need to do it like profile avatar URL. Okay, so just to show you the difference between the profile, the profile avatar and profile avatar URL, we are going to display this as well. So I'm going to add another break line, and then I'm going to grab this, put it below, and another break line, and let's just do profile avatar, and then I'm going to add a horizontal line. Let's save this. Here is our profile, and here is our full path to this particular image, and the profile avatar is just the name of the file, avatar PNG. All right, so this is how it's done, and here is our string representation of the profile. Alright guys, so we are going to continue working on this in the next videos. We are going to style this. We are also going to enable updating the profile. So stay tuned. Thank you for this video, and we will see each other in the next one. Take care and bye bye.